What's up, everyone? You're watching the Miniac, and this is Weekend Update live stream for January 5th. And I apologize for the aesthetics around here, but my studio space is currently full of car parts while I finish off the sale of my Cooper S. So, in today's video, well, I really don't have anything planned. This is kind of just a Weekend Update thing, kind of just go through what's been going on with me, what's been going on with the channel, and a little bit of other stuff that's been going on. First of all, I sold the Cooper S, the number 98 car. That car will be heading off to Arizona in about 2 weeks. Second, during that time frame that car was for sale, someone hit my Clubman, causing about a little over $3,000 in damage. So it's in the body shop. So right now, I'm using a service loaner because I have a few little things being done with the Cooper S prior to it being shipped. But I basically have no car right now. So I'm kind of stuck until I can get a rental car. So that's what I'm kind of dealing with at the moment. But some interesting stuff coming down the pike for Mini. We have the electric Mini coming out this year. We got the GP3 coming out this year. We have the return of the manual transmission. We have lots of stuff coming in 2020, and there's also the chance that maybe I'm going to get a new car in 2020. I don't know. It depends. My Clubman is at 100,000 miles, or at least it will be in about 300 miles, which is pretty easy for me to get to given how I drive. I do about 20,000 miles a year, so it's closing in on it, and it's going to hit 100,000 miles soon. So I'm going to have a 100,000 mile John Cooper Works Clubman. So that's a little scary, but I haven't had any major issues with that car. I better not finish that statement just in case. But what else is going on here? Well, I got a list of stuff here, but first of all, the channel is officially sponsored now by outmotoring.com. So that's the same sponsor that sponsors White Roof Radio. And they're one of the premier companies that deals in Mini Cooper parts and Mini Cooper accessories. And spoke with the owner of the company recently, and yeah, the channel's now sponsored by outmotoring.com. So that's pretty cool. That's a big jump that's a big thing for me to happen, and the amount of time it's taken me to build this channel, as some of you might not know, started at the beginning of January of 2019 with 1,000 subscribers, and we're a little over 4,000 subscribers now, almost 4,300. And Mark White says, congrats with a question mark. Did you mean the question mark, or are you joking there? But anywho, so that's kind of what's going on right now. We're closing in on 5,000. That's the goal. 5,000 subscribers will be by February of this year, according to the analytics I've been looking at, with a goal of possibly 10,000 subscribers by August of this year. So big things coming. I'm going to try to see if I can make that happen sooner, but I'm working with what I can get. I hope you all are noticing the new format. The videos are now only on Friday. And, oh yeah, you mean congrats. Okay, I gotcha. The videos are now only on Friday, Friday night at 6 p.m. I'm trying to see how that works. If that format doesn't work for me, I'm going to move the video on Friday back to 2 p.m. or possibly even sooner, move it to noon. I'm not doing a Monday video, so don't be looking for a video this Monday because I just don't have enough video to do right now. It's a little slow in the winter. But there's going to be a live stream on Wednesday at 8 p.m. and that'll be the live stream where we'll discuss the previous Friday's video. So in this case, the previous Friday video is the 8-speed automatic in the John Cooper Works hardtop. So once that video is had a little bit of time for you guys to watch it and so forth, the live stream that goes on that night will be a 30-minute long live stream. So I'm going to try to keep these as short as possible. So 15 minutes of it will be discussing the video, and then the last 15, or I might adjust it a little bit, will be discussing any other Mini-related topics, Mini discussions, so forth. But we're going to go ahead and do a little Mini discussion tonight. So yes, Mini Takes the States is going to be happening in July. I can't remember the dates off the top of my head at the moment, but Mini Takes the States will be pretty fun. I've done it once, although it was just driving to Keystone, Colorado. I didn't do the whole thing because I didn't have the money to do the whole thing. So that's coming up soon. I do not have any idea of the route or the destinations. I know some of you think I do, but I really don't. So don't ask me, because I really can't tell you anything, because even if I did know anything, and I really don't, I wouldn't be able to tell you. So we got that to look forward to. I don't know what else is new going on with the Mini brand at the moment, but there are a few little changes here and there that we're going to look forward to. There's the 2021 Countryman that comes out later this year. That should be pretty exciting. They're going to be doing a few facelift changes with that. The LCI, of course. So we'll be seeing Union Jack taillights on that and a few other little things. And my cat decided he wanted to walk into the room. What are you doing? Anywho. So what else do we have going on? Well, I need video ideas, so if anyone has video ideas they want to share with me, I'm happy to take suggestions and recommendations, and I would gladly do a video based on someone's recommendation for me. So I'm still working on that. There's really not much else going on here. This is just and I'm getting a note here saying that my connection is unstable. So you all might not be able to, oh, no, never mind. It looks like it's fixed. So that's what you happen when you deal with internet. So what else do I have going on here? I really have nothing else. So what is Ethan here? Ethan F56. I hope the F56, F55, F56 get the same grill as the GP3. I know that the F55 and F56 are going to be getting an LCI. They're going to be getting a second LCI, I should say. So they're probably getting a new grill redesign, but I think that's it. I think they're going to be making some changes to the grill. They're going to be making some changes to the front and rear bumpers on the cars and so on and so forth. So they're going to be doing that with a second LCI, but I don't know how extensive it's going to be, because as we all know, the 2018 refresh of the car was kind of lackluster. But eventually they're going to be doing something, and they got a few more things coming, obviously. What else do I have going on here? I got nothing for Mini news right now, because Mini's a little slow with news. We know that the electric Mini's coming. I did read a note recently that the electric Mini's range is 110 miles, which seems incredibly disappointing. I was expecting it to be a little bit longer given what the specs were showing for the European market, but naturally US specs differ always from US or from European market. So we're bound to expect that at some point. Percy Mc, I'm not going to even try to pronounce your last name. Percy says, thanks to you, I'm a very happy owner of a 2020 JCW 8-speed. Keep the good work. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Percy. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I've driven enough of those JCWs with the 8-speed now that they're actually pretty fun. I've gone out. I actually have a video coming up soon. I'm still in the process of editing it, but it's a comparison video between the Cooper S and the John Cooper Works hardtop. And let's just say that the reaction that I have on camera with the JCW hardtop is kind of amusing. It was pretty exciting driving it compared to the Cooper S, even though I really liked the Cooper S too, but the JCW hardtop was a pretty fun vehicle. But yeah, there's not much going on right now with Mini, which is incredibly disappointing when you're someone who does an entire YouTube channel devoted to the Mini brand. Usually I would have more stuff out right now, or some other special editions, and you might notice that a lot of my videos lately have been done at the dealership. That's because I've noticed that a lot of you all out there really, really like videos on new Minis. You seem to like the Mini Clubman, the Mini Countryman, the Mini hardtops, not so much the Mini convertibles. I'm a little disappointed in that, but you like everything else. So I've been going out my way to do as much at the dealership as possible. So I've been having a lot of video content going on over there. Also largely because my studio is filled with stuff right now, so I can't really get in there to actually film in front of my green screen. But hopefully once the parts leave and I get a chance to do some reorganization, I can actually get in there and set up my lights and everything. So right now I have my lights set up in here to do this. But hopefully I'll be able to do that. And I'm getting fur on my nose from that cat. So some of you might not know I actually have a cat. I don't know where Ox is right now, but he is somewhere down the hall and being goofy as usual. But yeah, so if I'm not sitting here, he's usually trying to occupy my time, or if I'm trying to work on something. Anywho, what else is going on? If you might have noticed, some of the video might have gotten a little bit clearer or changed a little bit in one of my recent videos. It's because I got this for Christmas. My parents bought me this. That's actually not the one they bought me. Sorry. They bought me this one. This is the Hero 8 from GoPro, and so far I've been using it for a lot of my video. I still use the Hero 7, but I've been using the Hero 8 as well. And so far I really like it. It's kind of taken a little getting used to, because like I don't have the new microphone for it yet, because the way they designed this is, you look at the side here and there's a door. See right there. And you pop this open, and inside here is the connector for the microphone that I have. Well, if you go to the older GoPro and you flip open the side door, there's a connector for the microphone. So when it's inside the cage, I can actually take this door off and leave it like that, but it doesn't expose the battery. Well, the new ones, because they have a special microphone that goes around the whole thing, you take the door off and then you mount the camera to that, or you mount the microphone to this. So I'm gonna have to wait until I have the new microphone before I can actually get it even better. So Mark wants to know any new colors coming out or resurfacing in 2020 or 2021. Well, I know that 2018 model year they had the Ice Blue Edition. 2019 model year they had the Ice Blue Edition. It wouldn't surprise me if Mini came out for 2020 Ice Blue Edition. I don't think they're going to, but you never know. New colors for 2020 is the new Coral Red for the Clubman. That's a really cool color. The new 2020 color was the Enigmatic Black, or as the Mini speak refer to it, Mini Yours Enigmatic Black. So pretty cool colors, but nothing really new coming out for 2020 at the moment that I'm aware of. I think the color of the GP car is actually a special edition color, so it's not like Thunder Gray or anything. I think it's like Racing Gray. Bonnet or trunk? Desmond is asking, hey, bud, bonnet or trunk? Well, bonnet is the front of a Mini, so we call that the bonnet, or in America we call it the hood. And then trunk would be the back of the car, but in British speak they call it the boot. Did you mean bonnet or trunk? Oh, you mean boot or trunk. Well, it depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to someone that doesn't have a clue what British cars are, I'll just call it the trunk, the hood and the trunk. But if it's someone who knows Minis like a lot of you all out there, I'll call it the boot and the bonnet. Sometimes I interchangeably will use the terminology when I'm talking about a Mini on a video. I'll use like boot, bonnet, or instead of hood and trunk, or I'll intermix it. Bonnet or hood is what I mean. Okay. Well, like I said, Desmond, it depends on who I'm talking to. So I'll either use bonnet if I'm talking to someone who knows what a Mini is, or who knows a lot about British cars. And if it's someone who's just an American and won't understand a word of what I'm saying, then I'll use hood. But I know that the British will say that a hood is what does a British will say? A hood is the convertible top or something on a convertible. You're in the UK. Okay. Well, for Brits, I will always say boot and bonnet, just so you're aware. So if anyone who's British out there asks me to check under the boot, or I'm sorry, check under the bonnet, I'll check under the front of the car. I'll go to the front of the car, obviously. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. I don't know why we call it a hood and a trunk, whereas you all call it a boot and a bonnet. I can't figure that one out. Might have something to do with old cars way back when having trunks mounted to the backs of the cars, like in the 1920s. So maybe that's where it came from. I don't know where hood came from. Why we call the part that covers the engine the hood. But that's what we do. I know Americans are weird, right? What else we got going on here? Well, I got a few more videos I'm working on. I have a huge list of them I'm working on. I'm trying to get some more Countryman videos. Some of you might have seen Now, some of you might have seen a post I made on a Mini Cooper S Clubman All 4, specifically a pure burgundy one. Now, here's the story behind that. That car came in on trade at the local dealership, and sales manager there asked me if I'd be interested, and I'm like, well, I have a John Cooper Works Clubman, so I don't know why I'd be interested in a Cooper S Clubman. And then he said, first off, before I get to that, hey, Jose, but first of all, I said, why? And then he said, well, it's an all-4 all-wheel drive. And I'm like, okay, well, they're all-4 all-wheel drive at your dealership. And he said, but it's a manual. And I'm thinking, all-wheel drive and a manual. Could be interesting. So I took it out for a couple of test drives. And I took it out for another test drive. And I decided I'm still not going to buy it. Largely because I think it's a pretty cool looking car. But when it comes to cars, I tend to have kind of this thing with catching minis that are unicorn cars. And the reason I say that, and what I mean by that, is cars with unique options or unique configurations. See, my first Mini was a 2006 Mini Cooper S. That one, and for those of you in England, this was an R53 in the U.S. market. That car had a mechanical limited slip differential from the factory, and it had the chrono pack. Now, for those of you who don't know what the chrono pack is, instead of the speedometer in the middle of the car, you have 3 gauges. Now, that was what I'd consider a unicorn car, because I did not find many other cars in that configuration, let alone with a limited slip differential. And someone here, Jungle Green, very happy with my 2020 JCW Clubman. The new engine is awesome. The new engine is awesome. But anyway, back to my story here. So my second Mini after that car was a Cooper Clubman, which was a German partial European spec, European delivery car that I bought that had been bought by an army officer while he was stationed in Germany and brought back. That one was fully loaded, including rear fog light, had the warning triangle in the trunk, had all that stuff, and it was an interesting car. It was also built in a weird month. It was built in, I want to say, August of 2010, which is weird because the transition on the LCI minis from the N14 engined ones to the N18 engined ones in that time frame was they stopped production in July and started back up in September. So not exactly sure what was going on there, but it was an odd spec. That car I had until I got my 2013 Cooper S with the John Cooper Works tuning kit. That was the one I wrecked. That car was a rare ice chocolate color with a JCW tuning kit, and it also had the JCW sport gauges next to the tack. That was a rare car. It was a really odd thing. So then I wrecked that car. Then I get to my current car, the John Cooper Works Clubman. That is a rare car in the fact that it's a 2014 factory JCW Clubman. One of the last years it is the last year for that body style. Apparently, this was the last one to come off the assembly line in kite blue, and it had a Recaro interior. So that's a unicorn car in a sense. So it seems that my tastes in minis tend to go for the unique. So the result was I have all these different unique minis. So why am I looking at a all-wheel drive Mini Clubman just because it has a manual transmission? Now, if it had the manual transmission and it also had the John Cooper Works tuning kit, I wouldn't be sharing this story with you right now. I'd be showing you a new car. So it doesn't have it. The price was right, but it just didn't have it. So I'm passing on that car right now. I'm waiting for, dare I say it, I'm waiting for the F56 JCW to come along, a used one with a manual, heated seats, the Dynamica interior, and all those good things. I don't necessarily need a sunroof in that car, obviously, because you don't really need a sunroof to have for a fast car to have fun. So that's what I'm waiting on. But if I actually had the money right now, and I wish I had a lot of money to do this, I probably would also have an R53 in my driveway. So as Desmond said, R53 in there. So yeah, if I had the money, I'd have an R53 too. But I don't. I had one, but I don't have one now. So you love the Knights. Ethan loves the Knights edition. Did you know I did it? You know I did a video on the Knights edition, right? The sales manager helped me with that. It was a We did a parody. We did a little bit of a parody on Monty Python with it. I had a knight's helmet with the car. He let me borrow the car for the video as long as I gave him a shrubbery. If you get the joke. So it was kind of just a tongue-in-cheek, kind of humorous thing with that car. That was a fun video with that car. I probably would have bought that one. That one had a manual, it had everything, but just couldn't afford it at the time. But good car though. The Knights Edition is pretty cool. The weird thing is we have a Knights Edition in the US, but I think in the UK they had something called the Night Edition. Not K-N-I-G-H-T, but N-I-G-H-T. And I'm not exactly sure why that was the case. It was an interesting looking one. It had different stripes and so forth. Gen 1's rule, all the drool oil, Mark White. Okay, Mark, we know you have, just for all you out there, this is a friend of mine here, Mark White. He has a fantastic British Racing Green 2006 Mini Cooper S John Cooper Works. It is seriously a beautiful car. It is a really good, really beautiful car. I've had a chance to drive it a few times. In fact, I'm planning to at some point when the weather is not at risk for snow or rain or cold, we're going to do another video with that car so you all get to see that car again. We've done one video with it once. It was pretty successful, but we're going to do another video with it because I think it's a good car. And I'd like to have it on the channel again. But I'm trying to get more videos of different stuff on the channel. I want to do older cars, but I see that a lot of you guys really like the newer Minis, it seems. It's really strange. I see a lot of trash talking about the newer Minis on Facebook all the time, but it seems that a lot of folks still tend to like the new ones, especially if they're on YouTube, if they're getting on YouTube to look for videos. So as you saw recently, I did a video on the automatic 8-speed automatic in the John Cooper Works hardtop. So there's 2 more videos coming up for that at some point. That'll be for the Cooper S Clubman and the Cooper S Countryman. Now, the video that's coming this Friday is one that one of my she was either a subscriber or a viewer had suggested that I do a comparison between the Mini Countryman and the Mini Clubman. Well, you're getting your wish. The video is edited, it's uploaded, it's scheduled, and this Friday it will be a video on the Mini Clubman versus the Mini Countryman. So, going to be it was a pretty fun video to do actually because it's really interesting how each car is a different driving dynamic. And Sonic Liberation says, I bet the Mini Cooper SE will drive well, low center of gravity and better weight distribution. You're correct on that, actually. I think it's going to drive pretty well, but based on the specs I got from corporate, the Mini Cooper SE has a perfect 50-50 weight distribution. So it's going to be a fantastic driving car. But I just don't know with the range, though. I feel like they should have done something to make the range better, and they didn't quite get what they should have done. What's really funny to me, and I understand why they call this, is they said, and I quote, that this is the first production electric Mini. Now, either this is a case of the Mandela effect, or people just don't remember the fact that there was an electric Mini at one point. It was back in, I think, 2009. It was the Mini E, and it was an electric Mini. It was a 2-seater electric Mini. I think it had a range of about 90 miles, and they only tested it in certain markets. It was a lease car. And I think it was done as a research car, so maybe that's why it wasn't a production. It wasn't considered the first production Mini or production electric Mini. But I feel like it's almost like a lost car in a way. It's like the lost electric Minis. People just don't mention or talk about it. Now, I don't know enough specs on the vehicle to do a proper video on it, but I do have enough press video of the car, including testing of it on the Nürburgring for the Mini E, that I might piece together a video for you all to watch for that car at some point. So that's a pretty interesting. It was a pretty interesting thing to find. I know some of you all didn't really care too much for my B-roll style videos I did last year, where I had it was just clips from corporate. The other thing that I figured out is the shorter the video, the less likely a lot of you are to watch them. So if you've noticed, I've been increasing the length of the videos. and that seems to be improving the watch time and everything, because you know how YouTube is. It's a business. You kind of have to do what you can to make money, and I'm not making as much as I would like, but I have goals, and at some point the goal is to get to making serious enough money that this becomes a business. Well, it is becoming a business, but this becomes more of a viable business where I could actually work doing videos for you all, as opposed to finding work in any other means. So what else do we got in here? Sonic Liberation. Why didn't put the 42.2 kilowatt hour battery from the latest BMW i3 in the SE? I have no clue. Sonic Liberation, I have no clue why they didn't do that. I think it had to do with space, more than likely. See, the way that this was done, and it's not exactly the best way to do it, is they took a car that was already existing and then reconfigure it to be an electric car. Now, the way the i3 was done is they took the i3 and they designed it from the ground up as an electric car. Now, most of you all know about the partnership between BMW and Great Wall Motors in China. Now, the reason for that is this company has a knack for being able to design electric powertrain vehicles and do them fairly well. Now, what most of you need to know is this isn't a BMW's moving Mini to China. This is a BMW's opening up a secondary or tertiary plant in China, because as you already know, Mini builds cars in the UK, the Clubman in the hardtops, and they also build them at Nedcar in the Netherlands. And I hope I pronounced Nedcar correctly. And that's where they build the Countryman and the convertible, and occasionally some hardtops roll out of that plant too, which is kind of fun. So I've encountered a few rare ones that have come out of that plant, which is interesting. But this is really a third plant that's going to be opening in China. Now, here's the thing. The 4th generation Mini is going to be a car that's designed from the ground up to be an electric car, but it's going to have the ability to have an electric powertrain, a hybrid powertrain, and a internal combustion powertrain. So it'll be 3 powertrains on this car, but it's going to be designed to be exclusively an electric car. The reason why is so that they can actually design it and tailor it to fit more batteries and possibly increase the range substantially. And then they can also then work around it to create an internal combustion engine version and a hybrid version. So that's the reason why they've opened this plant. That's the reason why the current F56 based Cooper SE doesn't have the range it should have. It's because it is a workaround. What they did with this car is they shoehorned in the i3 powertrain, and then to also make it fit, because the car sits too low to the ground, they used suspension components out of the Clubman and Countryman to lift the ride height up to clear the batteries. So that's what they're doing with that. That's the plans for the future. I can tell you that what I know is the Countryman is supposed to get bigger, which is expected. The Clubman is eventually going to be replaced by a crossover utility vehicle based on that car. So I don't know if they're going to still call it the Clubman, but I do know that they're supposed to make another SUV or CUV Mini to replace that. The hardtops as expected, along with the way the new engineering is supposed to go, they're going to shrink. They're going to get a little bit smaller. They're going to reduce that overhang at the front, and they're going to bring it back to the proportions I believe they were in, I think, for the first gen modern Mini. So the R53 proportions, which I believe was wheelbase wise, I think it was either 97.3 or 98.1. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. I think it's 97.3 inch wheelbase, but I have to double check those numbers. But speaking of wheelbases, for those of you out there who say that the current Minis are too big, 97.3 inch wheelbase, I think that is correct for the R53. That was the same wheelbase for the R56, so they didn't change by much. I think the F56 is 98.1. But anywho, Ethan F56 here says, oh, in that case, they should bring back the Club Van name. Well, the Club Van didn't sell very well, and the reason why is when they brought it to the U.S., there was only 50 examples came to the U.S. I know of one person who owns one in the Kansas City area, but they only brought 50 over. They only managed to get 50 in because the chicken tax in the U.S. made it next to impossible to bring over these cars. And funny thing is, it's because these were kind of they're basically utility cars, utility vehicles, and or commercial vehicles, what I'm looking for. Now, how Ford got around it initially with the Ford Transit is they shipped them over from Turkey as passenger vans and then stripped them down and converted them into cargo vans in port. So they came in as passenger vehicles at a reduced rate, and then they converted them. The problem was, I think the government caught up to them, and they had to then figure out a new way of doing it. So that's when they started building them in the U.S. But so the club van probably isn't going to come back anytime soon. Jungle Green here says, just installed Evan Turi intake on my Clubman. Now I have a functional hood scoop. That's fantastic, actually. I think that's great. I knew they had a functional intake or intake with a functional scoop for the F56 platforms. What's cool about it, though, is that intake will work on, sorry for the bouncing of the camera. My desk is actually a table, just a folding table. So what's cool about the intake systems or cold air intake systems for the minis, not necessarily the ones that have the hood scoop mounted ones, is that because they use the same airbox, same intake, you can use a cold air intake the cold air intake that fits a Cooper S, F56 Cooper S will fit an F56 Cooper, a JCW, it'll fit a Countryman, it'll fit a Clubman. That's the same airbox throughout the different lineup, different models, so they'll fit in all those cars. So Sonic Liberation says, I liked the Paceman. I thought the Paceman was an interesting vehicle. It was kind of an underappreciated car, I would guess would be the way to put it. It was an all-wheel drive two-door CUV, so that was the closest you could get to an all-wheel drive two-door Mini. And it's kind of disappointing that it didn't sell as well as it should have, but I think it's because the hype, it didn't quite live up to the hype, I guess. It was not as popular as it should have been. In fact, I think up until like 2 years after the car was discontinued, they were still finding a few sitting on new car lots at new car prices because they just didn't sell that well. It's one of those cars that's incredibly rare. You'll find that one is as rare as, say, the Roadster and the Coupe. And the reason the Roadster and the Coupe are kind of rare is, and they were discontinued too, I think it had to do with the visibility in those cars. Big C pillars and everything, or B pillars, whatever you want to call it. They weren't as popular. Kind of disappointing. But, so yes. JW says, love my R53 and R56. Good choices for the cars. Honestly, I would have a JCW. Honestly, I would have a JCW R56 if I could find one. That wouldn't be bad. I thought about getting a, like a GP2 at some point. The problem is there's not much market for it as far as putting it on YouTube here. So I don't know how how most of my viewers would respond to one of those cars, and I'm trying to see if I could do a little bit more videos with older Mini content, especially with my own car, so that I don't have to spend as much time at the dealership filming vehicles. Because the problem I have is, I tilt this camera down a little bit. The problem I have is I run out of video content fairly quick because I'm always there filming, getting stuff. I'm trying to not take their cars off the lot if I can avoid it, and I really don't want to put a lot of mileage on their vehicles. But I'm doing what I can to get content out to you all. So that's where I have to go to get the cars, do the videos. So that's how I make it happen for you all. So let's say Mark White. I saw one of the other day, Bayswater's on the Scuttles. Oh, Bayswater on the Scuttles. There was a Bayswater edition that was kite blue, and it had mirror caps that were different colored on each side, and the stripes were different colored on each side, but it went down the middle of the car, but they were different colors. So that was the Bayswater edition, and that's an unusual car. It's hard to find, oddly. Ethan F56. Oh yeah, I love the Bayswater edition. Cool blue stitching and stripes on mirrors. Yep, exactly. And I think exclusive wheels. Actually, I don't know if those wheels were Ethan, I don't know if those wheels were exclusive as you said. I think they were actually a standard Mini wheel, and I think it was just that they might have I want to say they might have colored them differently, but they actually didn't. I think that wheel, I believe, was actually a JCW wheel that they used on the car to make that work. So it was a different one. There's several wheels out there that you look at them and you think, and you look at them on Cooper S or something, you don't realize they might have been a JCW wheel they used for a special edition. Mini has this thing with making special edition cars, like the International Orange Edition, the Knights Edition. All those really were repackaged John Cooper Works hardtops. They took some options from here and options from here, put them all together, and then you had this, what they call a special edition. And they're cool looking, and you can get these really cool options in them for a really low price, but that was pretty much it with how those were done, and that's why they were done that way. It just made it work. But interesting stuff. There's lots of special editions out there. If you ever get a chance to look for it, let me know if you happen to ever find one called a Baker Street edition. It was, I believe, a Cooper, and that's a pretty rare one. And someone here, like mine, James Baldwin, Park Lane 2016 Countryman. I've seen a Park Lane edition. Interesting vehicle. The funny thing with some of these cars is they do these special editions. It's really just trim options, and they package it a certain way, different colors in some ways. So you end up with these different configurations that are really interesting, really. Like, for example, last year they had the Yin and Yang edition Countrymans. Now, if it weren't for those stripes on those cars, they would just be Mini Cooper-esque Countrymans that would be nothing really special, really. But the striping and some of the configuration makes it a little bit unique. Like the Ice Blue edition that we got here in the US for the 4-door hardtop, that was a unique configuration. It was all ice blue. The whole car was ice blue, which I think it should have been done a little differently. But whole car was ice blue, JCW appearance package, leatherette interior, and it had, I think it was manual climate control. So not that that's a bad thing, but it was just an odd configuration, and Mini has done this several times. The Starlight Edition Clubman. Now, the funny thing is, I think the Starlight Edition Clubman was kind of our way of like finding out what they were going to eventually do with the Clubman. So now you can get a Clubman in Starlight Blue, but in 2019 you couldn't do that. So now you can do that. So it's a pretty color on that car. Starlight Blue is a great color on all of them. Now, some of you know about the new Coral Red Clubman, which the UK market calls Indian Summer. I don't know why we didn't bring it over to the US as an Indian Summer, because it doesn't sound wrong to me. Indian Summer is something that happens in the winter when it kind of just gets warm briefly. But we have it as Coral Red. Now, I love that color. It's not available on the John Cooper Works Clubman. I think it should be. For that matter, I think that color should be available on all of the Mini lineup. I think it's actually a pretty neat color. For that matter, I'd love to see the Caribbean Aqua available on all the hardtops and everything in the Mini lineup. We only get it on the convertible in the US market. So Ethan says, I saw the Enigmatic Black in person today at the dealership. Cameras do not do it justice. This is true. Depending on how you photograph the car, it can either look really, really good, or it can look just like a black car. But it's really, the color is really based off of, I think it might actually be identical to it. It's based off of BMW's Carbon Black. Now, if you look at the car, depending on certain light, it looks black. Now, if you get really close to it and you get the light just right, it looks dark blue. And I think that's why they created that color, because the color that it replaced was a color that was called Mini Yours Lapis Luxury Blue, or just Lapis Luxury Blue, whatever you want to call it. So that's the color it replaced it. Naturally, it's another dark blue. It's a cool color, and for that matter, it's a really cool color when you configure it with the British spoke wheels, because the British spoke wheels actually have a little bit of a blue tint to the painted sections on the wheels, which is kind of cool. So, Sonic Liberation, how do you think the Mini Cooper SE will be received by diehard Mini fans? Do you think it will sell well despite its pathetic range? I think if they sell the Mini Cooper SE in urban markets, Kansas City might be one of them, but I'm thinking Los Angeles, New York City, San Francisco, places where it might be really popular. I think urban areas, it'll become very popular just because it's a short-range vehicle. But I think long distances, long travel, it might not sell as well. But I'm hoping they're supposed to get at least one or two at the dealership in Kansas City. So I'm hoping to try one out for a video and see what you guys think. I don't know if I need to have a tow truck standing by behind me just in case it runs out of range. But I'm thinking it's going to sell well in urban areas. I don't think it's going to sell very well in like rural areas or suburban areas. As far as being received by the Mini community, I don't know. It's kind of mixed. Some people think it's ridiculous. Some people think it's great. But Mini is known for innovation, is a little bit known for innovation and uniqueness. I mean, when the first Minis came out, they were revolutionary. So I imagine that this is going to be another one of those things with the Mini brand, just continuing that revolutionary uniqueness, that defying labels, the not normal, whatever stereotypical cliche you could think of related to the Mini brand. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. So let's see, Ethan F56. I think Rolls-Royce has this color too, since BMW owns them too. Yeah, BMW owns Rolls-Royce. I thought about doing a video actually of the Goodwood Edition Mini, and as you know, that was a funny story with that one. Apparently, the whole point of that car was to create this Mini that Rolls-Royce owners would buy, so that they could like drive this car when they weren't driving their Rolls Royces or being chauffeured around in their Rolls Royces. Instead, it ended up being an incredibly expensive Mini hardtop that didn't even look that special. It just looked like a Cooper because it didn't have the hood scoop. So it wasn't really that special. Now there's some real diehard fans out there that love those cars and everything, but I know at least one YouTuber or someone on YouTube who actually modified one of them and just drives and just souped it up and everything and just drives it, and it pisses off so many people in the Rolls-Royce or Goodwood Edition Mini community don't like it because of that. I think it's hysterical. Let's see. John Vincent bought my F56 in October. Love it and love your channel. Lots of love from Philadelphia. Well, I haven't been to Philadelphia, but I might have to at some point. But I'm glad you enjoy your F56, and the F56 is a great car. I really like it. I love how it drives. And my loaner car right now is actually my rental car. No, not my rental. My loaner car I have from the dealership right now is actually an F55 four-door. Now, some of you hate the four-door, but I think it's kind of fun. I actually don't mind it. I actually don't mind it as much as I used to. I used to really not like it, but in the right configuration, it actually looks pretty cool, and it's a pretty nice vehicle. So Ethan says the carpet was a little overkill too. Yeah. Especially for me, like I have the carpet floor mats for my Clubman. They're not installed. I have my WeatherTech ones down on the floor because I don't want to risk getting the carpets dirty or spilling things in my car. So every Mini I've ever had has had rubber floor mats in them. I just don't want to do the carpet route because I'd rather protect the interior of my car. So just haven't done it. So what else do we have going on here? I got lots of stuff sitting around here, I just realized. But this is kind of a cool thing, actually. I got this a while back. I'm sure some of you have seen this before at your dealership. This is the JCW TAC watch. So, kind of cool. I haven't worn it, really. Maybe I need to raffle it off. Maybe. I said maybe I need to raffle it off. I'm not going to say I'm going to. But I did talk to the sales manager. I asked him if there was anything I could raffle off on the YouTube channel. He said, well, we could raffle off John Cooper Works GP brochures. So he has a pile of GP3 brochures that he thought it'd be kind of fun to raffle those off to you all if anyone wants one. Because for a lot of us out there, that's as close as we can get to owning the GP3. Yeah, Ethan, you're going to have to go buy the watch now? Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens with me. Every time I see something, I have to buy it. So I have the GP watch. I'm sorry, not GP. I have the JCW watch. I have a little pullback Mini Cooper. And I have right here, because I just wanted it, a little woofer. So the new dog, basically. Ethan, you'd like a brochure? I don't know why you can't. I think you can get one at your local dealership. I don't know where you're based out of exactly, but I think you could probably get one from your local dealership if you really wanted one. What else do we have going on here today? Well, as some of you know, there's going to be a live stream coming up on Wednesday at 8 p.m. That'll be for, hold on a second. Sonic Liberation is the 8K stereo worth the upgrade price if in the new F56? Was thinking that getting the stock stereo and upgrading the speakers might be a better option. See, that's the weird thing. It really depends on the car. Like I did a video on buying a new Mini where I compared a bunch of Cooper S's. I ended up picking out the JCW hardtop. The funny thing is the JCW hardtop was the same price as that loaded Cooper S. And the Cooper S had Harman Kardon in it. The JCW hardtop did not. And the weird thing is it really depends on the car. For me, I like the Harman Kardon. I've had it in most of my Minis with the exception of one. Well, two if you include the Cooper S number 98 car. But if you what was I going for? It really depends. If you like listening to your radio a lot, then yeah, go for the Harman Kardon. I think it's a great stereo system. If you're one of those people out there who'd rather have the loud exhaust on their Mini so they can hear the pops and burbles, then do that. And if you one of those people who has the money to do both, then can you give me some? But seriously, it really depends on the. It really just depends on what you want. If the Harman Kardon is worth it if you're someone who likes to listen to your music a lot when you're driving. But if you're someone who enjoys listening to their car a little bit more so, then I'd say don't worry about it. So Jungle Green, the HK on my JCW Clubman sounds great. Yeah, the HK on that is pretty good. I've actually listened to it in the Clubman, in the John Cooper Works Clubman that I did a video on. I do think the Clubman sounds fantastic on its own. So I think as far as audio is concerned, I just roll the windows down and listen to that exhaust. But that's just me with that car. Ethan says my Harman Kardon is super rattly after 86,000 miles. Well, see, that's the weird thing. I have Harman Kardon in my JCW Clubman. It has 99,600 miles on it, and it doesn't sound terrible to me. That being said, I wonder if it has a little bit to do possibly with me listening to my my music through my aux input rather than actually listening to the stereo itself. So that could be why I don't notice anything different. But I guess I'm just not one of those people who pays attention to the audio quality of their stereos in their cars. It's not terrible. I mean, it really depends. Ethan, you have, I think, a 2014, 2015, if I remember correctly. I think it's a 2014 Cooper S. I want to say that maybe that might be rattly because they were still 2014, yeah. I want to say it might have been a little bit rattly because they were working some of the bugs out in the 2014 model year. I mean, if you compare the 2014 to the 2015 Minis, you'll notice that the sun visors are different, and so is the rear window on the hatch. It's really strange, but there are a few little things they changed between 2014 and 2015. So it could be rattly because it was a 2014. That was the first year in the U.S. market for that car. But it could also be that maybe the car was built, as I like to joke with people, maybe it was built on a Friday, which is a terrible joke. You really think they would keep the build quality consistent throughout the week. But so yeah, it really depends. If you want Harman Kardon, go for it. If you don't want the Harman Kardon, you don't have to. I honestly could take it or leave it. It really just depends on the car. I mean, if it's a JCW, I really don't care if it has Harman Kardon, and as long as the car itself sounds good. But if it's like a Cooper S, I would take the Harman Kardon in a heartbeat. Unless, of course, I had the tuning kit on the car, and then I could possibly live without it again. So it's a weird thing. I have weird taste when it comes to Minis and how I want them configured. If there's an option that I want that requires, like, for example, I'm configuring like a John Cooper Works, or not John Cooper Works. If I'm configuring a Cooper S Clubman, for example, on the configurator at one point, and I was given the option of the Harman Kardon, or I had the Harman Kardon on there and the John Cooper Works tuning kit from the port. And I took the Harman Kardon off and then put the tuning kit on because I'd rather have more horsepower and more sound coming out of the car. And I didn't necessarily need the Harman Kardon as well. But I'm also one of those people who doesn't necessarily think I need to have the heads-up display. But there's a lot of people out there who like the heads-up display in their Minis and want that feature. I've tried it out in several cars. I like it. I don't necessarily need it. That's just me, though. Now, there's people out there who might need that car or that option on their car. Now, as far as what you've heard about changing gears briefly, as far as what you heard about with the manual gearbox on the minis for the U.S. market. So here are the cars that are going to be getting them, and I'm thinking of doing a video on it as well. So start off with Cooper. The Cooper hardtop and the four-door hardtop will have a 6-speed manual again. The Cooper convertible as well. The Cooper S, the Cooper S hardtop, four-door hardtop, and convertible will also have a manual gearbox option, or standard, I should say. The John Cooper Works hardtop will have a manual gearbox again. The front-wheel drive Clubman will have a manual gearbox. I don't know. I heard that the front-wheel drive Countryman S will have, or Cooper S Countryman all four will have, or no, I'm sorry, not all four. I heard the Cooper S Countryman front-wheel drive will have a manual gearbox, but I don't know about that. Also, switching gears a little bit, the Cooper Countryman and the Cooper Clubman are no longer available in the U.S. market unless they are fleet order for like enterprise rental car and so forth. So you can't get a Cooper all four Clubman anymore or Cooper Countryman anymore. So the other cars that don't have manuals anymore, the John Cooper Works hardtop or the John Cooper Works Clubman does not have a manual option anymore. The John Cooper Works Countryman and the John Cooper Works convertible are no longer going to have manual transmissions. I don't know why the convertible is not going to have one, but I guess they say it has to do with take rate with that car. It's really weird when they're talking about the 300 horsepower JCW Clubman and Countryman, they're talking about the horsepower and they say, well, the transmission can't handle the horsepower, which I think is not true. But then when you're talking about the convertible, then they say it's the take rate, and the same thing with the all four platforms. So the all four Clubman and all four Countrymen are no longer going to have manual transmissions either, which is kind of a shame because a manual transmission all-wheel drive is kind of fun. But anywho, I am going to let you all go. We're now 51 minutes and 58 seconds, but I appreciate all of you coming by and joining me for this little Sunday evening live stream. And I hope next time I have a little bit better lighting in here, but I hope the discussion was stimulating. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit, hearing a little bit, and chatting with all these people in here. But I'm going to let you all go because I have other things I got to do tonight, and I got to start filming again tomorrow because I got more stuff. But before I do that, let me answer this question. Sonic Liberation, can a Signature Plus Cooper be optioned with 15-inch wheels? I like the ride quality of the smaller wheels. The answer to that question is no, it can't. And the reason why is the 15s, I believe, because the 15-inch on Cooper. I don't believe so. I think it has to be 16-inch wheels on the Cooper on the Signature Plus Cooper. So I don't know. That being said, I'm not a big fan of the 15-inch wheels. I think it makes the car feel too floaty on the road. And I've driven a Cooper with 15-inch wheels, and it just felt like it was like drifting around on the road when you were driving it. I think the 16s on that car and even 17s give it a feel more planted, feel more balanced. But anywho, that's the last question I'm going to answer tonight. We'll do some more chatting on the next live stream, which is that is January 8th. Okay, there's my brain again. So the next live stream is January 8th, 8 p.m. That'll be the one where we discuss the 8-speed automatic John Cooper Works video, and I'll chat with you about anything else that might have coming up. Friday, we have the Mini Clubman versus Mini Countryman video, so I hope you're all going to enjoy that. But I'm going to let you all go, and as always, life is too short to drive a boring car, so drive a Mini. I'll catch you all later. You all have a fantastic evening, morning, afternoon, whatever part of the world you're in. I'll catch you all later.